The area you represent takes a big hit during storms, and you're trying to figure out a way to help flood victims who are caught in the confusion of this process. Let's take a look at your remarks on this.
I don't want to sound like a cynic. I've been in the litigation business for most of my young life, and what I find is that when there is a claim, whether it's a property damage claim, whether it's a personal injury claim, there is a strategy with the insurance industry to hold on to the funds as long as they can. And they invest them. And they delay, and they delay, and they delay. And the thinking is, if we can hold on to the funds and put that victim off for 2 to 4 years, we will cover that loss with the earnings that we will make from our investments. Now, many of the insurance companies are publicly traded. They have obligations to their stockholders. And we can talk as much as we want about who are the good guys that stepped up, who are maybe the bad guys, and we had one insurance company mentioned today. But how do we get over the generic problem of how profits and losses are made? And how do we standardize that to deliver justice to the victim? So that's something that we can take many steps to try to make things better. But we're still up against the investment strategy and the public policies of insurance companies that trade on the open markets.
That was pretty hard-hitting. It was a roundtable discussion to try to find out why our flood victims who lost their home, municipalities who saw bridges and roads destroyed from Hurricane Irene and Lee, why things were not moving faster. And this was a roundtable of, I think, 15 CEOs of all the major insurance companies, not only in the state of New York, but in the country. And in what I had mentioned on the tape, I had done a lot of commercial litigation and a lot of negligence litigation. And it was always the strategy of insurance companies to delay because in addition to being in the insurance business for insurance companies, they're also in the investment business. And how rates are established depends on how much money they pay out in claims, the amount of claims, and how well their investments are doing. So delay is in their best interest. And with our particular flood victims, and you know, I kind of went around, it's devastating to see. I mean, these are generally hardworking, poor to middle-class families. The only thing they have in life in equity is their home, and their home is underwater, or it's destroyed from the hurricanes. And those that had no insurance, nothing at all, FEMA was on the site fairly rapidly, and they did the best they could to get the money out. That's a federal program. But if you had insurance, or you had not enough insurance, what the insurance companies did said, go see FEMA, or we got to get inspectors out. And what happens in the particular story, there was a man there, Mr. Cherry, who was a controller of Schoharie County, or an ex-controller. In his particular example, his house was destroyed. He said there were 6 different adjusters and inspectors that came to his house over a period of 3 to 6 months. And one hand didn't know what the other was doing for 6 times. He just gave up. He said, I don't want any more adjusters here. Meanwhile, insurance company is holding on to their money. And again, this was a gentleman that had insurance. So they all gave the blame game, said you have to file this, or you got to check with that, or you got to do that. And as a result, the people that were traumatized by the house loss were traumatized by the process. So we were trying to bring everybody together and have them accountable And you know, with what's happening with our weather patterns across the country in New York, this is going to happen again at some level. We want relief to come quickly. So that was the purpose of the roundtable, and I felt they had to be brought to task for what I felt were glaring missteps, miscommunication. I won't say intentional acts, I kind of think it was, but I don't have proof it was intentional, but there's no reason. And another individual said they waited 6 weeks before anyone even came out to the property. And that was a pattern that we heard from all of our constituents that had either underinsurance or some insurance. And with FEMA, you get some money back, but you never get it all back. But at least that money came a little quicker in the process.
All right. It seems like you have definitely been talking about this for years because of the area that you represent. But in the governor's first statement of the year, he talked about making sure emergency management is up to par.
Yes. Well, the governor, to his credit, had tried to be helpful. He went to all the devastated areas, tried to give his support. Gave a little state money to show that he has compassion for the people that were hurt. We have beefed up our emergency services, but that's a temporary thing to get the people maybe out of their home to a shelter or to a Red Cross or give them some money just for food and all. But I'm talking to try to make the people whole, and that's where I think the insurance industry could do a lot better.
All right. More information on your website, bonacic.nysenate.gov.